Okay, this is Mr. Girl, a male feminist, and he talks about his dating experiences. I added 500 women on Facebook. And normally I wouldn't bother with male feminists. They're pretty dead end. But this guy, it's almost like he's trying to break through, but he can't. He can't get over his feminist indoctrination or his desire to pander to the opposite sex. He can't deal with being alone. He's a perfect example of male dysfunction. Now we'll see what his experiences are.
Synchronize there. Okay, so I get to Shaylin and I see her and I'm like, okay, I'm interested. Firing on all cylinders. So I messaged her and I said, "You look like Lady Gaga." She said, "Thank you, she is badass." And then I said, "She is, but with a vulnerable side. Are you badass? Can I interview you?" And then I asked her to do an interview about feminism, which I ended up doing with someone else because she didn't like respond to me or something. And then I showed her the interview and she said I seemed like an asshole, and then I got into this very unhealthy thing that I do. I get sucked into this like pattern where people call me a bad person, but I'm usually a woman, and then I frantically try to convince them I'm not. I'm in this
You didn't submit to this feminist. That's what she means by asshole.
relationship with you actually as the audience. Like, you think I'm a bad person now, and I like I want your approval, and then I have to fight against it and to be myself and not try to suck up to people and get their approval. But anyway,
You want to get with this girl, right? So you need her approval. It's either get her approval or be alone. Make up your mind.
I shouldn't have messaged her back. I should have been like, "You don't want to talk to me, fuck you. If you want to hang out with me, you want to watch me jack off, then you fucking come to me." But I didn't do that, and I pursued her, and that set up some unhealthy dynamics in our relationship. I love Shane.
Your relationship is one of servitude. It's that simple. I mean, how would else would you set it up? You wouldn't have a relationship otherwise. You either submit or it doesn't happen.
Shaylin, and I fully intend to marry Shaylin. So I'm not saying I regret being with her, but I allowed it to get off on a foot that was a bit triggering and unhealthy for me.
You had to. You had to start on that foot or you wouldn't nothing would happen. You have to admit that to yourself.
Anyway, there's this like narrative that like unwanted sexual advances from men are creepy.
Creepy is just a term to insult men with. It's not creepy. You're just trying. You're flirting with girls and or women and you're trying to get somewhere. They do the same to you.
Like, you're supposed to know if it's wanted or unwanted, or like you're like it's a creepy weird thing to do, to try to like sexualize a bunch of relationships with a bunch of strangers and see what comes back.
But you're not sexualizing. I mean, you are looking to get together with the opposite sex, right? You're a heterosexual man, right? Okay, eventually you want sex involved. So it's not sexualizing. The sex is already there.
There's no way to get a girlfriend without being creepy. Okay?
Okay, this is very self-loathing language. You mean you've got to put yourself out there to get together with a woman. She doesn't just come to you. And there's nothing creepy about it. If you say that this is creepy, then you are self-loathing and you're defeated at the very beginning.
Like, yeah, some people can just let the offers come their way, and you can let the other person be creepy, because that's creepiness.
No woman's going to be creepy with you. If she comes on to you, first of all, if the rare case that a woman actually comes to you, you don't consider it creepy. You just consider what it is. She said, "Oh, she's trying her luck." But for the most part, it doesn't happen at all. How many times do you see, like in these dating sites, it's the guys hitting on the girls? And that's what you did with her. She didn't come to you, you went to her.
You have to be creepy to hit on somebody. You cross the line, cross a little bit, and then gauge the response, cross a little bit
No, you just have to hit on someone to hit on someone.
more, gauge the response, cross a little bit more, and you cross 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 until you fuck. That's how it works.
So you're mentioning fucking, but I thought you said you weren't sexualizing this when your aim was to do that in the end.
And like I guess you could say that like real creepiness is when you know the person is not interested and you keep it, but a lot of times it's ambiguous.
But that's not creepy either. That's just desperate or not willing to let it go.
Like Shaylin basically told me to fuck off. Let's see what she said. Let's see. She said, I definitely have some surprises up my sleeve, haha, about whether she's a feminist and doing the interview and all this stuff. And I said, okay, well, blah, 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 here's what my video is going to be about. And I said, do you want to tell me your surprises now or on camera? And she just didn't respond. So then I just said, okay. So then a week later, I said,
By the way, creepy just means low status. She doesn't know you. You don't have any notoriety. She doesn't know your income probably. So women don't find men unappealing in general. They prefer the company of other women. So you're starting off on the wrong foot anyway. All men are.
I found and interviewed my feminist. It was everything I hoped it would be and more. She said, that's great. Send me the episode. I would love to see it. Sparkly emoji. Jesus fucking Christ. And I said, okay, I will, but it's going to be a few days. Yeah, here we go. Interview with a feminist. I sent it to her. She didn't respond. I said, did you watch it? I made this whole video for you and you just have no response. She said, haha, I don't think it was for me. I watched about 15 minutes and felt like you interrupted her too many times for me to want to keep watching.
Yeah, you didn't know your place. You stood up and probably defended yourself as a man. Or just stood up to her bullshit because feminism is all lies. Every one of every bit of it. So this young woman is saying, who's your girlfriend by now? Says to you, or say, wow, you didn't submit, you didn't know your place.
Watching. She handled it well though. And I said, well, that was the point, that she handled it well. And she said, sure, but you made yourself look like an ass. I said, yes.
Really? So you're submitting to her. Did you look like an ass? I bet if I watched it, I wouldn't think that.
And she said, she did a horse, and she said they only have horse emojis. I think she was trying to send a donkey. Little did she know. Well, then success. And I said, I don't understand YouTubers who want to make themselves look good, blah, blah, blah. And then we got into this.
And this woman you're talking to, this Shaylin, is disrespecting you. She didn't really care that much about talking to you. You had to force the issue.
Whole thing. And then I said, oh, do you want a free personal training session? And she said, oh, I guess so. And then she showed up at the gym. We were alone. I trained her, and she like looked up at me like she was expecting me to just take her right on the floor then and there. And I was like, this is where my like I work here. Like I'm literally just trying to train you. I'm not trying to fucking rape you in the gym.
You mean have sex with her, right? Why are you using the term rape for a willing person? You are full of self-loathing. Your indoctrination has damaged you.
As much as you would like that. And at that point we had a
Also, she sexualized this situation. She came for sex, and you want her for intimacy. So that defeats the feminist narrative, or even just the narrative in general, that men are all about sex, right?
connection, and we started dating. Did I make mistakes? Yes. Did I throw myself under the bus? Yes. Did I jump through her stupid, fucking annoying, controlling woman, bitch, cunt hoops, knowing that I...
Wow. You sound like an incel, sir. So you're admitting that for her to show up, you had to jump in through a bunch of hoops. So how are you going to have a partnership in this relationship? I bet you describe this as a partnership, right? But there isn't a partnership. You signal to this woman that you're willing to serve. You're going to eat up anything she dishes out in order to have her around. So that is her expectations from now on.
I was gonna be fucking stuck doing it for years, and that I was gonna have to confront her over and over and over again to get her to change these behavior patterns so that I can fucking.
Really? You think you're going to change her? Wow, that is delusional. And you're also admitting that she's not in here to respect you, that she's going to come in and dominate you and gaslight you on a regular basis. And you knew this ahead of time. And yet you still went through all the tricks to get her around. That is pretty pathetic.
Feel like I have boundaries and respect, and I don't mean respect as a man. I mean like
Why not as a man? I mean, you are a man. And this is involving romance. So it's about male and female. I mean, this is real self-loathing. I mean, you can't separate yourself from your manhood. But even if you could, why shouldn't you be respected as a man? You expect this woman to, she expects to be respected as a woman. So again, you're not into a partnership, are you?
fucking caring about my feelings. Don't.
So if she's not going to respect you as a man, how would she respect your feelings? And like I said, again, the setup for the relationship is not set up for boundaries and respect for you. If you set up boundaries for this young woman, she will leave you eventually.
Don't let people tell you or convince you this fucking incel red pill, black pill stuff. You know, don't let people convince you that you're not desirable.
Well, this woman, I guess she found you desirable at that, but she only had found you desirable once you submitted, once you jumped through all her hoops.
You don't have to be desirable to women or men or whoever you're interested in.
This is nonsense. You want to be desirable to this young woman. So what are you talking about?
The, what makes you like a Chad to other men? Like, are you fucking
A Chad? Are you into pickup artistry now? Into this kind of language?
gay? Are you trying to convince other incels that you're cool? Like, if you're gay, then okay. But if
And why are you using gay as a slur? Aren't you a feminist? Don't you belong? Don't you believe in the LGBT? It's funny how all you feminists use gay as a slur to men.
you're not, or if you're interested in women, like, you don't need to convince anyone but that one person that you're cool. And you shouldn't convince them that you're cool. Again, that's my. I'm still.
Oh my God. So look, you want to be special to this woman. That's what you really mean. I think you're just too confused to describe it. You want to be special to this woman. So, and you want her to be special to you. So you're not a lonely person.
Falling into the same pitfall. You shouldn't have to convince anybody that you're cool. Just put yourself out
But you want people to see yourself as cool. I want people to see me as cool. There's nothing wrong with that per se.
there. Okay, so if you're less desirable somehow, then you need to cast a wider net. That means you need to hit on more women.
Hit on more women, but you want a special relationship with a special girl. not just any woman's going to do, right? So you've entered this relationship telling this woman that you're going to take whatever she's going to dish out, and you're willing to say, well, if one rejects you, just keep going and deal with all the rejections until maybe some woman agrees to your submission. Wow, that is pretty lame.
Not fewer. Or men. If you're a woman, this applies to femcells too. This is for anyone.
There are no femcells, Mr. Girl. There are no femcells. If a woman can't get with guys, she can't get the guy with the guy she wants, the high status man that she wants. But these girls can find male companionship if they want to. Unlike you, unlike the guys.
If you're undesirable for some reason, you need to go more creepy, more.
So, in other words, put yourself out there more. But how does that make you? How does that compensate for you being undesirable?
Demanding. Squeeze the world until what you want comes out of it.
Wow, this is desperation to the nth degree. This is his girlfriend, Shay. I was addicted to using physical changes as a way to run away. This is important because he wants to have boundaries with this girl, which won't work out in the long run. Because if the guy doesn't submit, the woman leaves eventually. Now let's hear a bit of this.
And I know that for myself, I often didn't feel accepted. And
You still don't.
I still don't, but I don't think I really pushed.
But you're pushing me right now.
About what?
The whole structure of this conversation.
How?
This is what you do. You just subtly, passive-aggressively derail a conversation. Take what I'm trying to do. It's my video.
I don't know
it's my
what is
video.
clear
It's
about
my
the video.
video. It's my video. And you take what I'm doing and you run in whatever direction you want. And it feels like a very similar dynamic.
Okay, so this guy is setting boundaries and trying to get this woman to behave. She is not going to like this in the long run.
Where I very, maybe you appreciate this about me, where I'm very often have to be like, hey, you're being controlling. I'm not going to do what you're trying to get me to do.
Okay, then your relationship won't last. Because you jumped through all those hoops to get this girl there. And right now she's playing nice, but eventually she's going to say this guy is an asshole. In other words, he won't submit, and she will leave. And that's what she'll tell people too. Mr. Girl, she'll eventually tell people that you're an asshole and you were a jerk and you were controlling. That's what she'll say.
Right.
You're controlling in very subtle ways. Just as saying to somebody, oh, I don't feel safe in this space unless you use my preferred pronouns, and if you question me about it, it's violence. Come here, buddy.
She looks happy.
Daddy would never gaslight you.
Okay. So do you want to try again?
I want you to not fuck this video up.
Okay. So yeah, this guy is being all alpha right now, and it won't not work. It won't work because, like I said, the conversation you saw him have, he'll have over and over again. There will never be a time where this young woman understands, because it has nothing to do with understanding. She just says she's going to try and dominate you, and you're going to hold her off, and then she'll try it again. You'll hold her off again. But that is what's going to be going on. The The relationship between men and women women are amoral to men's feelings. This woman is amoral to your feelings. Now, I'm also bringing up that this young lady was going to transition, and this guy, Mr. Girl, talked her out of it. Now he's going to see himself as a hero. Trouble is, let's see what he has to say. I want to be female again. This is another video of his where this young lady was convinced to transition by a trans woman. Let's see what he has to say here.
You have to be a voice for them.
So the link to that between this is going to take a very turfy direction here, where the link to autogynephilia, the sexual fantasies of a man that you were married to, it started you down this chain of
Okay, so she's blaming her partner for finding her sexy as a trans person. And so she's submitting, according to him, to this man's sexual eroticism. Yet the exact same thing can be said about him. He wants his girlfriend here to be a typical female. He doesn't want her transing into a guy. So, Mr. Girl, the exact same thing can be said about you.
and like obviously you made a mistake, or several, maybe dozens of mistakes. I'm not going to pretend that you're like an innocent lamb in all this, but
No.
started you down a chain of decisions that where your medical decisions about your own body have become politicized, but that ultimately were in your case in service of a man's sexual fantasies.
Okay, so this trans person didn't want her to be trans because he was trans. It wasn't that feeling like we're the same. It was to his sexual fantasies. How do you know that? Mr. Girl, how do you know that? Yet, like again, I say, the same could be said for you. I mean, by rights, I mean, this woman, I mean, did you convince her not to trans because it was good for you? Or are you just like a feminine girlfriend? That your fantasy is a typical, woman. So the exact same thing can be said about you. I mean, this guy is all over the place. What he wants is he wants what the typical guy wants. But he, like in typical guy fashion, he wants to blame other men and make other men the villain and make him the good guy. So being a male feminist is meaningless in so much as it doesn't change the basic nature of the man. It's just a form of self-loathing. Like the reason I said, look, he's got a video, I can fantasize about whatever I want. I haven't watched the rap, but I suspect he wants freedom to express his sexuality and to say what he finds attractive. He wants freedom for himself. But he wants to show all other men and men in general as the bad guys because you want to pander to the opposite sex. If women loved men for men, you wouldn't be a male feminist. Because pandering to them would just be you showing up and saying, hey, you like men, let's get together. But in order to pander to them, you've got to say, no, men are trash. But I'm the one good guy. This is what's going on. And I have one more thing to say. I wish I could find it because I saw it. You admitted that your mother was a feminist, and she kept coming to you and saying, according to you, gender is a social construct in a way to get under your skin. And so you're kind of rebelling against that. But she herself was abusing you. She was gaslighting you. If you had a sister, do you think she would say that to you, Mr. Mr. Girl? Or if you were her daughter, would she say that to you? She would maybe, but in a way of a stratagem, like, okay, just tell people that gender is a construct when it's useful. But she wouldn't treat you like that if she saw you as a construct. She doesn't. She sees you as a born male and herself as a born female. And all this feminism is to attack you with. No, none of these people believe that gender is a construct. None of them. It's strictly a weapon to use against the average guy. You've been abused, and now you want to try and break out, and you don't know how. You don't know how. Because you haven't gotten over your male hostility. Anyway, the whole point of this, guys, is to show you that given the choice of self-respect and having boundaries and loving yourself, between that and just having a sexual partner at all cost, all these guys choose a sexual partner at all cost, including this guy, male feminist, or the ultimate. Anyway, this is, I don't know what to say. It's a cautionary tale. This is how bad it could be for you if you don't overcome this. I'm not in a relationship. I don't ever want to be in a relationship because I know what relationships are. There isn't a third choice. You either submit and take abuse, or you're single. Those are your choices. And of course, all these guys, all these male feminists are no different than these right wingers who turn around, or even the average guy who says there's all these good girls in country X. They're different there in country X. It's wishful thinking and desperation. But you know something, Mr. Girl, I would like to be able to hold my head up high, and you can't do that. You can't do that. Going down the road you've gone down. And this young woman you're with will eventually leave you because you're putting up boundaries, and women aren't into that. Okay. That's all I have to say.